And when you get one of these cases here in Las Vegas where it's a he said, she said, she's accusing him of rape, he's insisting that it never happened or that it was consensual, how do you go about sort of investigating or defending or working out that kind of case?
Well, one of the difficult challenges in rape cases is that often the event, almost always the event occurs where the only two people that are there are the defendant and the accuser. Mm-hmm. So you don't usually have other witnesses to the event. So what you have to do is you have to interview people who were present during surrounding events. If the rape involves a couple that was out on a date, if it was a date rape, you might want to interview people that saw them out in public, observe their demeanor together. Her
being very flirtatious, coming on to him, being very willing.
Those things would definitely be relevant.
What about doing the background? Let's say on the man-woman situation, the female is the accuser, and you do a background investigation on her. What sorts of things in her background would undermine her credibility?
Well, if a female has made rape allegations in the past against other parties, or if she had been a victim of sexual abuse at some point in the past, it might be relevant in terms of exploring her motivation to bring charges, her credibility. Of course, if she has a criminal background involving perjury, forgery, crimes relating to her character, her propensity for truth, those are certainly things you want to know. And additionally, sometimes accusations will be lodged for the purpose of extorting someone for money. Sometimes you'll see cases where I'll have a client that will come in and say, someone's threatening to go to the police, they're saying I raped them, and they want me to pay them a certain amount of money. Sometimes you see the motive might be actually for economic gain as well.
We hear a lot in these rape cases about something called a pretext call from the accuser, the alleged victim. What is that?
Well, actually, sometimes what will happen is if an accuser goes to law enforcement and tells them that they were raped, sometimes what law enforcement will instruct them to do is make a monitored call to the party, because sometimes one of the most difficult things for the state to prove in a prosecution for sexual assault or rape is that intercourse actually took place. And so they will try to gain an admission from the party on the phone. So the call might be, why did you do it? Or, what did you do with the condom? Or did you wear a condom? And the accuser will try to engage the accused in a conversation where they make some kind of admission that intercourse actually took place. Because that's the first element that the state would have to prove, was that there was actual penetration, and then you get to the issue of consent.
So the idea is the cops are on the line, or it's being recorded, and the suspect doesn't realize that, and they're trying to trick him into making an admission.
That's correct.
Let me ask you this finally, Mike. If somebody is convicted here in Nevada of sexual assault, what are the penalties? What's the consequences? The
consequences for a sexual assault conviction in Nevada are very harsh. As a matter of fact, the sentence for a conviction on sexual assault is life in the state of Nevada, with parole eligibility, depending on other nuances, can be after 10, 25, or even 35 years, depending on the facts and circumstances.
So even a person with no prior record who gets convicted of rape basically can go away for life?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, it's not just can go away for life, it's will go away for life in the state of Nevada, because the defendant would not be eligible for probation for a conviction of sexual assault in the state of Nevada.
So the judge wouldn't even have discretion to give a lesser sentence?
That's correct. And sometimes the facts situations in these cases are very murky. Mm-hmm. It might even be a situation where the judge didn't feel good about having to hand out such a sentence, but the judge might say, well, under the laws of the state, I have no option but to sentence you to prison for life.
And you've represented a lot of people over the years accused of rape. Have you had good success in defending these cases?
I have had success. It's whether it's success at trial, which is obviously the best kind of success when you're exonerated altogether and you hear the jury come back with a not guilty verdict. Of course, that's the most satisfying. Perhaps more satisfying might be to have the case get dismissed in an earlier stage where you don't have to go through and endure this strain and stress of a trial. But we're also often able to engineer plea negotiations where our client will plead to a lesser charge and avoid a life sentence, and sometimes even avoid prison altogether. I'm attorney Michael Becker with the Las Vegas Defense Group. If you or a loved one has been charged with a criminal offense in Las Vegas or throughout the state of Nevada, trust in me and my legal team to get your case dismissed or otherwise negotiate a resolution that causes minimal harm to you in your future.